we've typically started such sessions by asking what and how much can technology achieve in the past. But now I want to ask you what else is left for humans to do. So, I'll quickly go round robin. Kaivalya from Zepto, can you tell me how much of your work at Zepto is being done by AI, and what are the 3 top departments that are most influenced by AI? I wouldn't say impacted.
Firstly, thank you for having me here, Tushar. I think now it's reached a point where pretty much every function is using AI in some way or the other. I think the top 3, you want in terms of the number of people using, or sure, impact of work, or what?
Because impact of work.
Impact of work, okay. Impact of work, number 1 would definitely be software engineering. I mean, they were, and I'm sure you guys will have the same thing at your companies, but earliest adopters, Cursor, Cloud Code, all of these tools to just ship a lot more, be it features or whatever. And that we've seen now propagate throughout every, I've started using those tools. I like in between for a couple of years I'd stopped coding and now getting back into it. And so yeah, I think that would be like the number 1 team. What we're figuring out now there are some, so we have about 500 engineers or so in the company. Some of these guys are a little further ahead, the guys who started playing around a little earlier and so on. What we're now basically trying to figure out in engineering is how can we get those guys to just propagate all of what they've learned to everybody in the team. And similar with like product managers and designers and so on, where we're just building some internal tooling so that end-to-end from an idea to shipping a PR and merging it on GitHub can be done by non-technical people. So now we've got some PMs who are shipping features, who don't know how to write a single line of code. So that would be number 1. Number 2 would also be something that we did a little early, which was on customer support. So we started this about a year and a half back, but bit by bit we've automated, every type of ticket. So if you say today my dhania is rotten, an AI agent will look at that image, score it on a scale of 1 to 5 and give you a refund if they think that, okay, Tushar is a good customer. I'm going to let it slide, give him a refund, right? And now about 78% of our tickets don't touch a human being at all, right? That would be number 2. Number 3 would then be all of these like other functions. So, our cataloging team or our finance team, when they're doing the same accounting, book closures at the end of every month, we've built certain tools for them to be able to do that a little faster. And a lot of these guys are also just curious themselves, I think. As long as anybody's curious, you could be like an analyst or you could be a designer or whatever. We are seeing people just out of their own curiosity figure out ways of making their work either more effective or more productive. So the third would just be these like general purpose, all kinds of teams figuring things out their own way.
Got it. Prateek, Pocket, I would imagine, wouldn't have so much of customer support need, right? Software engineering, I can imagine, product management, like KV said. Anything else that is unique to Pocket?
Yeah, I think so. For us, the most important thing has been content. Sorry. Yeah. For us, I think the most impactful vertical has been content. When you talk about content and when you think of traditional way of creating content, I think that has changed significantly now. Pre-AI era, the content production used to take, let's say, 6 months, right? Now, in current era, with whatever product tools we have built, it has become like a matter of days, right? The content which used to take months to produce before, now we can produce all of those content in just a matter of days, right? So content has been a big shift for us, apart from what, of course, like Kaivalya has mentioned.
And Rohit, for you, would that be similar? You're also in the content space, of course, but anything unique to Seekho?
Yeah, so for a business like ours, which is basically a learning platform for the masses, in the current times, as we recently heard, learning and relearning becomes the core of what will bring a national transformation. And Seekho is placed exactly where we can actually give this power of using AI to improve your lives and build a better world as you grow for the masses. Because yeah, people in sitting in small villages and cities or towns are not really using Claude as we do. And that is where the power of Seekho comes in, where we can empower them to use AI to build better lives. And that is the primary impact that we are trying to capture here.
Okay, and Rohit, and I'm sure you must know this better than any of us, the attention span of people is decreasing by the day, right? We just want short form content, reels and all of that. So now when you're making a decision to hire someone, right, an educator or any of those roles, now would you hire more a subject matter expert or someone who has better storytelling skills and give a hook to your consumers, if I can call them, right? And where does AI play that role? How do you determine where the hook comes and how do you go about that decision?
Yeah, so as both of them mentioned, the role of skills has actually reduced. What matters now is the human creativity, being able to understand what your user wants, and a bit of imperfection also. And that is what we mostly look into. We would want extremely creative folks who are very agile. We don't want people who know how to code really complex stuff because Claude can do that very easily. We don't want people who can design really amazing UX because Lovable can do that very easily. So yeah, everyone is going to transform into an IC, which is an individual contributor for those who don't know. Instead of, large subject matter expert teams which being led by managers. So yeah, we have already moved away from that. In fact, 80% of my own time today goes into building something instead of managing my team.
So you're saying building an app or building something for Seekho in the curriculum wise?
Building something inside Seekho which could someday be a content, some other day it could be an internal tool, or some other days I'll be shipping some feature inside the app.
Got it. And Prateek, are you using AI more to, empower writers or creators? Or are you using AI to reduce dependence or reliance on them? How do you go about it?
Yeah. So Pocket is an open platform where any writer can sort of come in and write content and distribute their content for hundreds of millions of users globally, which of course has India, US, Europe. For us, the most important thing has been how do we empower writers to write high quality content in faster time, right? As I mentioned before, it used to take months to write high quality content before. With sort of tools that we have built internally for writers, that time has now reduced significantly, right? Now, any writer who has good taste, who has good ideas, now can actually convert those log lines to a great story. Similarly, on the production side, before, I think content was supposed to be produced through production houses, right? Now, all the toolings and products that we have built, now productions have become really, really easy, right? I think we can now produce thousands of hours of content within weeks, right? So I think for us, it's more about empowering writers, give them distribution, give them tools and products to reach masses, and give them an opportunity to, let's say, earn and recognition.
Got it. KV, coming to you, a different kind of a question for you. What is that one metric that, AI has helped you improve on the business front, but also worsen customer experience? I would say customer refunds. You would agree Tushar is a good customer. Not everyone does, right? So, but I want to know your view. Don't say customer experience. Something apart from that.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Something that AI has enabled to do better business-wise, but worsen the customer or consumer behavior or experience.
Has worsened or improved, you mean?
No, improved it business-wise, but worsened it consumer-wise.
We wouldn't take any calls like that. So I think, for example, customer experience is the only one, or customer support rather is the only one where these things could be at odds with each other. Most times that you would, embed AI into the customer journey, it could be, for example, search, right? I had given this example. It's my favorite example to give, which is that, in the past, so search is very important for us. Most of you that use Zepto or any, e-commerce, quick commerce app, my guess is that when you open the app, you go to the search bar and search for the first 2 or 3 things that you want. In the past, most search algorithms were built on something called token matching, which was you type 2 or 3 words, it breaks the phrase into those 2 or 3 words, and then you try to match that exact word in the name or description of the product. there were certain areas where that was very straightforward. So potato, tomato, bread, milk, yogurt, etc. Very straightforward. As Zepto eventually got into a lot more categories, electronics and general merchandising and apparel and so on, the kinds of things people started searching for example, went up like crazy. So, for example, we started getting into stationery. And so, in India, colloquially, one of the things that, you guys all know what a mechanical pencil is, right? In India, people colloquially, in slang, sort of call that a pen pencil, right? Now, if you, in the past, let's say pre-LLM world, would search for pen pencil, we would break that phrase into pen and pencil, and then search our entire catalog for products that have either one of those words in the catalog, name, description, whatever. And so the result would be a bunch of pens, a bunch of pencils, and some mechanical pencils. But it was very hard for us to understand actually what you're looking for, right? Today, LLMs are incredible at understanding intent, right? So you could search for pen pencil, and we'll show you mechanical pencils. You could search for kapde rakhne wala bag, and we'll show you a laundry basket, for example, right? And so that for lakhs and lakhs of queries, for example, is something that improves the customer experience, improves our P&L. There's no trade-off, for example. The only one, to answer your question, right, which was, where would it be at a trade-off? If, we would have an opportunity to improve our P&L in any way, but at a hit to customer experience, you would never take that call. Because actually, businesses like ours, if you take any kind of hit on customer retention or frequency, it is very costly to then reacquire that customer or spend money on performance marketing to acquire new customers. We actually, for example, last 6 months, spent close to 0 rupees on performance marketing, right? We're growing very fast, right? I can't talk about numbers, but we're growing very fast, but, without spending money on performance marketing, because customer retention and frequency is actually like the cheapest way of growing, right? Interestingly, with every time that we've, automated away some type of customer support ticket, we have different kinds of tickets. Where is my order? This item was missing. These fruits are not good, whatever. There's like n number of different types. Every time we automate, a type of ticket, we actually, for a prolonged period of time, will A/B test it, where, for example, half the tickets will go to a human being, half them will go to an AI agent, and we actually measure the CSAT at the end, right? Because at the end of the ticket, we ask the customer, thumbs up, thumbs down, were we able to resolve your query or not? And every single time, right, the AI agent, at least the ones that we've actually taken up to production and scaled, have been where the CSAT has actually been much better. When, you have a AI agent, right, their CSAT is actually better. Only then we actually go and scale it, right? Which is why it's been a 1.5 year long journey to automate 78% of our tickets. We started with just one simple use case. We started with, I think, where is my order, right? Then we said, okay, now let's do, I got the wrong item, or then let's do fruits and vegetables, and so on and so on. And over time, we've, been able to automate this count. Interestingly, what started happening now is that it's like, people are also smart. India is a country where if someone really wants to commit fraud, there are 100 ways of doing it. So people, for example, now will order a pouch of milk, take an image of that pouch of milk, put it in Gemini, and say, change this expiry date to 1 week ago. And generate an AI-generated image with a fake expiry date. Put that into Zepto and say, you guys sent me expired products, for example, right? So now it's like, some AI system is, generating images. Our AI system is trying to catch which are AI-generated and which are not. And so it's a fun world, that we're living in.
Does that lead to a lot of leakage in
We've limited it. So, for example, that is a problem that didn't exist even like a year ago, right? But again, people also keep evolving, and so we have to keep evolving. So, yeah.
Got it. All three of you run very large companies. Rohit, I'll come to you first. What's that one uncomfortable truth that you have that none of us actually know about running an AI-first firm? You'll go first and then I'll pass it on. That not many people talk about or not many people like us know about.
Yeah, on one hand, I know that my team can actually do much better if they can completely upskill in an AI native way. And do really well. But on the other hand, eventually there are people and it takes some time. So the only thing that makes me uncomfortable is the time that it is taking for me to transform everyone in my org into an AI native teammate.
Okay, Prateek, you?
Yeah, I think for me, given that AI has also given so many opportunities, you can now build products, tools, and whatnot within matter of days. There are tons of things to be built, to be honest, right? I mean, when I look at my roadmap, I have hundreds of things to build, right? So for me, it's more about like, how do we pick the right things, prioritize right things for users, and not get lost in, let's say, like hundreds of different things, right? So I think as the org is scaling with AI, the prioritization still becomes the bottleneck. And for us, I think that's the biggest uncomfortable truth, I would say.
Got it. KV?
Uncomfortable truth, right? I think I agree with what you said. We've had, like I said earlier, some people are a little further along in the adoption curve. I personally now, in retrospect, think I was actually later than I should have been. Actually, I think, a relatively late adopter myself, like personally. But I think the other uncomfortable truth is that a lot of, and we learned this the hard way, that, you know, a lot of the discourse around, like, you know, AI is going to replace X number of people or whatever, you know, hasn't necessarily played out exactly that way. I think that the use or the necessity of like evals or like, you know, being able to actually build the right infrastructure around whatever you're building. So rather than speak in abstract terms, I'll speak in specific terms. We built this tool internally called Nucleus. And the Nucleus is a tool where, like I said, any non-technical person, you're a designer, you want to build a feature, you can, in natural language, break down every part of the software development lifecycle. So you can break down like user research, where that is one step. The tool will ask you, have you considered X, Y, Z? You think about it, respond. Then you write a PRD, then you make designs, then you break that into tasks. Ultimately, each of those tasks become like a pull request, and you merge that into your code base. And this is context of like all of the different services that we have. So we've been rolling that out, right? And I was like super gung-ho when we rolled this out, and got all of our people to test it. I was starting to write different PRDs and all of that using it. And for anything simple, it was like very straightforward, and that's what gave me like a big kick that, okay, this is crazy, we can 10x the number of things that we do and all of that stuff. But the reality is that, for more complex things it hasn't gotten there yet. I'm very hopeful that it will. But more than that, the uncomfortable truth is that you need to know what are the potential failure modes, right? Because we're now starting to see, there are small areas where even these small features you're shipping using AI, where, there's a lot of bloat, for example, in the code, right? A lot of unnecessary lines of code being written, edge cases that are being missed, etc. Where, a lot of our engineers are like speed running through, like autocomplete or like tap, whatever the AI suggestions are, let's do it. And without like the right evals or unit test cases or whatever to know that, okay, you're shipping something into production, are you 100% covered is like a very crucial aspect. And we've sort of learned that the hard way in some respects, where now we're very confident that these models are going to keep getting better, and more long-running tasks and complex tasks are going to be able to get automated. But we're actually now investing all of our bandwidth on just like building the infrastructure and tooling around it, so that we're able to, in a safe and predictable way, make all these people more effective. I don't know if that made sense. But
made sense, perfect. But KV, I don't think you should say you're on late adopter on anything. You started the company, you started Zepto when you were 21, taking the company IPO when you were 25, 26.
23 now. Yeah, we started when you were 18.
You've been 23 for how long now, KV?
I turned 23 in October. Yeah.
So you started Zepto when in 2020.
Yeah.
So when you were 19.
18, yeah.
18.
Yeah.
My God. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Because that's a Shahid Afridi running joke, that, right?
I know.
You're 23 forever.
Yes, I know.
Okay. Perfect. My last bit of questions, we'll just wrap up. Rohit, I'll come to you first. Are you still hiring engineers? And if yes, what different are you doing in hiring? I mean, KV just said that, Zepto has 500 engineers. How is that number for you? Would it have been different if not for AI?
We would have hired different types of folks. As I said, we would not be hiring any subject matter experts now. So even in engineering, we would be hiring freshers who are easy to adapt to things and can work in an AI native way. Just for example, a conventional engineer would classify themselves as an Android engineer or a front-end engineer or a back-end engineer. But of course, Kerry would know that doesn't exist anymore. And you can build whatever you want to build, and that too much more faster than how you will build most of those things in conventional ways. A very small anecdote. Earlier, when we used to write, recommendation models, then we used to ship one iteration, measure it, or just review it, कि कैसे result दे रहा है. Then again switch the logic, shift some weights, do some logic changes and stuff like that. And it used to take like at least a week for someone to at least ship one recommendation logic which they would feel is working fine. This thing my Claude is doing for the last 6 hours, even when I'm doing this.
Got it.
So yeah, this is how things change.
Perfect. That's it. I'm so sorry we're out of time. I would have loved to continue this conversation, but I'm so thankful for your time. And thank you for doing this, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tushar.